Okay, well, hello everyone. I see lots of folks are actually joining. Let's wait until we get a couple more folks, a few more folks in here, and then we'll start the program officially. All right, and just so that we stay on time, my name is Joanne Pang, and I'd like to start by doing our land acknowledgement. And it is with respect that we acknowledge the Onondaga Nation, firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee, on whose ancestral lands Syracuse University stands. And I'd like to say congratulations to all of our admitted students. Welcome to Syracuse University, and we look forward to sharing with you today what you can expect when you join the Orange family next fall. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items. As a reminder, the admissions acceptance form, which is in your admit letter, is due by Friday, May 1st, with the corresponding advance payments to secure your seat for the fall 2026 semester. At the end of today's presentation, we'll have some time to answer questions so and we ask that you submit your questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of the Zoom. And now I'd like to introduce you to Tim Gray and Dan Cutler from our Housing and LLC, or Living and Learning Communities office.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Tim Gray, and I'm one of the assistant directors in the Housing Meal Plan and ID Card Services office. I'm going to kick off the presentation tonight to talk through all of the different housing options that we have available here on campus, as well as the different meal plan options, and some tips and tricks of how to get your SUID card when you're arriving to campus as well. So without further ado, we'll kind of go ahead and get started. So like I said, I'm part of the Housing Meal Plan ID Card Services office. So what our role here on campus is that we essentially are a resource for students, and help them in getting set up with their housing on campus, get them set up with their meal plan, and also we print the SUID cards for all students, faculty, and staff here at the Syracuse University campus. With that, it comes a touch point with each of the members of the Syracuse University community. So we have plenty of staff that are here to engage with both students and members of the Syracuse community with any questions, whether it's something that our office can directly handle, or if we need to make a referral to another office, we're happy to do so as we engage and answer the questions that come our way. One thing I do like to point out from this slide is that our office is a little bit different than a separate office on campus, which is our residential living colleagues. Now, residential living are more of kind of like the eyes and ears of what's going on in the residence halls. So they're the ones that are, overseeing the resident advisors that your students would be engaging with on their floor and in their community. There's different events that are going on within the community as well too. So the residential living team are helping plan those events within the residence halls. They're also a resource if the students are ever having roommate conflicts, or if they're feeling homesick, or whatever the case may be. The staff in the building is there to help them and guide them through managing those different concerns. So we certainly support them, kind of more of a behind the scenes role in engaging with them, but it is a separate office that is kind of more of the eyes and ears of the residence hall. So I do like to point that out as we dive into the presentation. So a little bit about our campus. We have over 8,000 students that live with us here at Syracuse University in one of our 21 different residence halls, as well as our 1,100 different apartments. We're actually expanding our residence hall inventory here on campus. If you've been to the campus recently, you may have seen some construction throughout the campus. Those are actually new residence halls that are coming onto campus starting in the fall of 2027. So we'll talk about that and kind of what those will look like in a few years. But it's an exciting time for our housing campus life in general. Giving those opportunities for students like you to potentially live in one of these new buildings. We do require our students to live on campus for their first 2 years of enrollment. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to that. If you're an incoming transfer student, you're certainly not required to live with us on campus. We will welcome you if you are looking to live on campus and if you're looking for an on-campus opportunity, but you're not required to live on campus. You're also not required to live with us if you have family within the immediate Syracuse area and you are looking to apply to be a commuter instead, we still ask you to submit an application, but you are not required to live with us on campus if you would prefer to commute from your home permanent address as well. So if you are living on campus, we do have a wide variety of different residence halls that we will typically place our first year students in. So on your screen, you'll see 10 different buildings that our first year students can expect to be placed in as part of their first year experience. Now you'll see 10 different buildings, but a lot of these buildings are connected into different, first year complexes. So the first example on the screen, Boland, Brewster, and Brockway, those are three separate buildings, but they're actually in one complex, and that complex is about 800 students, whereas the buildings are a little bit smaller. Brewster is about 300 students, and then Boland is another 300 students as well too. So in total, you have a huge group of first year students within the complex that you're engaging and interacting with. You also have obviously your floor that you're seeing most of the students on a regular basis, and then your individual building. So there's a lot of different layers of community in your first area. We do keep our first year students connected in first year areas because, like I said, a lot of students are interacting and are kind of in the same spot in their college career where they're adjusting to college and maybe some homesickness along the way. So we want to establish a community for first year students, but also make sure that they have the appropriate resources in those buildings as well too. So those are the 10 different buildings that you can expect to be placed in your first year. And then obviously we have a 2-year residency requirement. So beyond that, we also have some designated returning residence halls, as well as some different apartment options on campus. So the apartments are really good, especially for our second year students, because it's good kind of stepping stone into transitioning into their junior and senior year. We have a lot of students that will seek off-campus housing opportunities. So a lot of students will utilize an apartment to kind of transition to that next point in their residence life experience here at SU. But so we have kind of a breakdown of different residence halls and different apartments that our students are able to live in during their time here. All right, so in fall of 2027, that's when our new second year residence halls are expected to come online. So if you are considering Syracuse, or if you've already accepted your admission, you could potentially be one of the first students that lives in one of these 3 new buildings, which is pretty exciting. We anticipate all 3 will be opening in August of 2027. The new buildings will bring about 1,800 new beds to our main campus for second year students. All 3 of these residence halls will be primarily made up of 4-person suites with private bedrooms and in-suite bathrooms. All 3 are going to be air conditioned as well. And then the largest one on Waverly is going to have a new dining center. So we currently have 6 dining centers here on campus. That will bring us to a total of 7 dining centers, which is pretty exciting. Now, here's a couple of different renderings of what these residence halls are going to look like. So this is one of the buildings that's going to be over on Ostrom Avenue, which is part of our main campus. And then on the next slide, this is our Waverly Avenue, and this is where the dining center is going to be placed as well. And then last but not least is our Comstock Avenue rendering. So like I said, all 3 of these are slated to arrive on campus fall of 2027. So they are currently under construction right now and being built. And we're excited to have them as part of our on-campus inventory in a few years. All right, so a couple things to take away. So as it was mentioned, the admissions acceptance form, that May 1st deadline, that's obviously the biggest deadline to make sure that that you're following in order to apply for housing. You need to be a Syracuse University student. So the first big thing would be to accept that admissions acceptance form, and then go ahead and activate your net ID and password, which you would then get instructions of how to do that once you accept your admission. After that, you get sent an email from our office inviting you to complete that housing application. Now, if you don't get it right away after completing your acceptance, that's totally normal. Usually takes about 3 to 5 business days for our housing system to recognize that you're a student with us. So if you don't get it right off the bat, it's coming. Be sure that you're checking your syr.edu email to get that email from our office. And then at that point, you can go in and start to complete your housing application. So within your housing application, you are applying for housing, but you're also setting up your profile. You're submitting a roommate questionnaire. You're also making a match and potentially finding a roommate right in the application as well too. And we'll talk about that. We have about 50% that actually go in and pick their roommate versus 50% that actually choose to go random and allow us to assign them a roommate as well. But we utilize that questionnaire to help find that compatible roommate. And we'll in a couple of slides show you what that looks like as well. And then we like to add on here as well the piece about the health history and immunization forms. It doesn't impact anything on our side for applying for housing or picking a roommate or anything related to our processes. But we do like to encourage it because if you get to campus in the fall and you're not up to date on your immunization records, it may slow down your move into the actual residence hall. So so just make sure that you're staying on top of those deadlines that are communicated to you as well. So here's kind of a sneak peek of what the housing application looks like. So once you log in with your Net ID and password, you'll be prompted with this home screen here that has a couple of different buttons that you can click. So the housing application is going to be right at the top here where it says housing application. So you'll click that and it'll get prompted to start your application on the next page. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see a couple of different tabs that are pretty important. It'll guide you as you save and continue throughout your application to each one of these tabs. The one thing that I'd like to point out on here is this is where you can actually preference what room type that you're interested in. And we'll show you a couple of examples of one of the more common room types that first-year students reside in. If you're interested in participating in a living and learning community, which Dan is going to talk about in a little bit, this is where you could actually preference your top 3 interests in living learning communities if that's something that you're interested in. And then the roommate matching piece is more toward the bottom. So that's where you can go in. You would have filled out your questionnaire at that point, and you can start to search for roommates. You can engage with other students within the portal as well too to see if you would potentially be interested in living together. And then once you've found your roommate, you can send that person a request to be a roommate, and as long as they accept it, then you're matched up to be a roommate as well too. If you're looking for specific instructions of how to navigate the portal, we do have a full screenshot guide available on our website as well. But this is where you can actually go in and make that roommate request if that's something you're interested in. So a couple of deadlines to keep in mind as you're progressing through our housing processes. Our big deadline here is June 1st. June 1st is the deadline to select a roommate within your housing application. It's also what's considered our priority deadline. So our priority deadline essentially is the deadline to apply for living learning communities. If you're looking to make any changes to your application, you can do so up until June 1st. If you want to make any adjustments to your preferences that you listed, whether it's your LLC preferences or your room type preferences, as long as you're submitting it by that June 1st deadline, we will fully consider those preferences as you're making as you're submitting that housing application. July 1st is that health history and immunization form deadline that we had talked about. And then we typically communicate out housing assignments around the mid-July timeframe. In that email, we will send what building that you're assigned to, what your specific room number is, as well as what your roommate's name is, and we'll provide the email address of the roommate so that the two of you can start to communicate with each other. We also send information about which LLC that you're selected in as well. So if you're someone that indicated an LLC as a preference, we'll communicate which LLC that that you're selected for as part of that assignment notification as well. All right, so these are kind of the more common room types that we provide for our first year students. So you'll see in this picture on the screen this is our split double setup. So you'll see on the picture that there's a kind of a dividing wall in between the 2 bed spaces. So if you're someone that likes a little bit of privacy within your space but still wants that roommate experience, this might be a good room option for you. And then if you are looking for more kind of like an open floor plan, that's what's considered an open double. So you see, we essentially took the dividing wall out from in between. So you have kind of a more open floor plan. You have a little bit more flexibility within your space to really make it your own. We do have a couple of other options that you can indicate on your application. We have some single rooms as well as some 4-person suite options. Those are a little bit more limited in availability, but it is something that you can preference on your application. And if we're able to place you in one of those room types, we certainly will work with you to do so. All right, so shifting gears a little bit, we're going to talk about meal plans. So all of our first year students are required to be on our Orange Unlimited Meal Plan. So our Orange Unlimited Meal Plan is unlimited meal swipes to any of our 6 dining centers here on campus. And our dining centers are all you can eat buffet style of dining centers. So all you need to do is swipe your ID card to get into the dining center, and you have full access to all of the food that's within the dining center at the given meal periods. It also comes with an allotment of dining dollars as part of your plan. So those dining dollars can be used at some of the grab and go cafes throughout campus. So if you're in between classes and are looking for a cup of coffee and you want to grab, a cup of coffee at Dunkin', you would use your dining dollars for something like that. Or if you're looking to grab a sandwich at one of the cafes, your dining dollars can be used for that as well. And then as you progress here at SU, more meal plans become available to you as well. So we have a couple of different block meal plans. That's essentially how many meal swipes that you would get per semester. So we have an 85 meal swipe option as well as a 130, and those both also come with an allotment of dining dollars as well. And then we have specific meal plan dining dollar plans. These are typical for any students that may be off campus, maybe some of our commuter students, or potentially some students that are living in our South Campus apartments that have the ability to cook for themselves, but want to supplement with some on-campus options as well. So we have 3 different levels of our meal plan dining dollars options as well. And one other contact that I like to provide in these presentations is our partners over in campus dining. Now, our office is not overseeing the dining center. We're not preparing the food or anything like that, but we have a separate office that works closely with students to hear any feedback. If there's any concerns within any of the dining centers or cafes, like they're wanting to hear that feedback as well. They actually have a registered dietitian within the office as well. So if you're someone that has specific dietary concerns, and you want to talk through with the dietitian about making sure that you have enough options within the dining center to meet your dietary needs. They're a great resource to connect with as well too. So I wanted to share their email address as well as their contact information and their website to make sure that you have that information in case you want to have that conversation prior to eating in our dining centers. And then last but not least is our SUID card. So like I said, we print SUID cards for all students, faculty, and staff here on campus. And your SUID card gets you access to a variety of different campus services. So gets you access to your specific residence hall on campus, as well as different buildings that you would need access throughout campus, whether it's academic buildings or if you have an on-campus job or whatever the case is, your ID card is going to get you in and out of that location. It also has you access to your meal plan as well on your card. We do have another declining balance option called Q's Cash here on campus. Q's Cash gives you all the same access that dining dollars would, but we also have additional vendors, in our off-campus neighborhoods, different restaurants that accept Q's Cash. So if you're looking for another avenue to keep funds on your card, Q's Cash is a great option for you. It's also accepted at our campus store as well. So if you're looking to buy textbooks or even some Syracuse University merchandise while you're here, you can do that using Q's Cash as well. Get you in and out of our Barnes Center. So if you're looking to use any of the fitness facilities or use some of the resources over there, you would need your SUID card for that, as well as in our university libraries. In order to make sure that we have your SUID card ready for you upon your move in, so we'll actually print off those ID cards and send them to the residence hall. So when you check in to pick up your keys for your residence hall, your ID card will be there as well. But in order to do that, we ask you to submit a photo with us by July 1st. And we use a platform called the Get app. So you can either download it on your smartphone, or if you go to our website, we have a link to the Get website where you can upload a photo. Now you can upload any photo of your choosing. You can do, a high school portrait photo. You can do a selfie, whatever photo works best for you. We just ask that it's just a picture of you and not like you and your dog or like you and a group of friends. It's something that clearly identifies you would be the best appropriate photo to include on your ID card. And please don't lose your ID card as well too. There is a replacement fee for any lost ID cards. We know the campus store sells some of the ID card holder options, whether it's a lanyard or one of those card holders that you can keep on your belt loop or whatever the case may be. If you're looking into that, the campus store does have some great options. So certainly would encourage you to take a look. All right, before I transition over to Dan to talk over some living learning community options, I wanted to share our contact information on the screen here. We have a ton more information on our website We have a whole first year student section on our website as well too that can kind of walk you through different steps of how to find a roommate, how to apply for housing, how to submit your ID card photo as well. So would certainly encourage you to take a look at our website. That QR code on the screen will bring you directly there. If you have any questions along the way, we understand that housing is a personal process for everybody. So certainly, give us a call, send us an email, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that come up along the way. So with that, I will now turn it over to Dan Cutler to talk through living learning community options.
Great. Thank you, Tim. So I'm here for the second half of this webinar to talk a little bit about two of the housing options that we offer here at Syracuse University. So living learning communities and theme housing. So one of the first questions that we get from folks is, what is really the difference between the two? And so where they're similar is that both of them are a group of students living together around some kind of common theme, organized in some kind of interest area. And then might be events and initiatives that the students do together. Where living learning communities kind of set itself aside is there's this additional academic piece to that. And so the organization of that theme within the living learning community is usually around a major or an academic area that you're studying or interested in. And then there's intentional faculty connection and support that we layer into the program. So you're meeting the faculty members in your department, your academic department, you're connecting with them outside of the classroom, you're building that network that you might need for research down the road or internship or letter of recommendations or grad school. And so part of the LLC experience is to make those connections with your academic faculty members so that you can really build that network. And then on top of that, we also have academic engagement and support areas. And so we have student leaders, upper class student leaders who are a part of that experience. So we have the LLCRAs, who are current upper class students who usually have been in the LLC the previous year or 2 years before. They're in that same major. They're an upper class students who's experienced what you're going through, and they live on the floor and they help with kind of that social connection and transition. And then we also have some LLC peer mentors, which are also upper class students. They don't live on the floor, but their focus is on the academic piece. And so they're to help you manage some of those academic transitions, study skills, form study groups on the floor, teach you the software that we use here at SU, whether it's the software for registering for classes or navigating in terms of your coursework in Blackboard. So we provide both academic engagement and support. The theme housing doesn't have any of that academic component. So there's no course that you're taking, there's no faculty connection, there's no additional peer mentoring. It's strictly living together around a theme with some programming. So that's really what the difference is between the two. So next question I typically get when I talk to parents and students is around what are the different options? And so I've broken this up into two slides. So this first slide is really talking about the communities that are organized around some kind of academic restriction. So the first group here on the left-hand side are those LLCs that we have that are organized around a particular school or college affiliation. So for example, the Engineering Computer Science LLC. You have to be within the School of Engineering and Computer Science. Now, you could be an aerospace major, a mechanical major, computer science, it doesn't matter, any of the majors, but you've got to be affiliated with the School of Engineering and Computer Science. So that's where that affiliation comes in, which is a pretty broad group. The next group on the far right side is a little bit more narrow, and those are LLCs that are around a particular major. So exercise science as an example. You have to be a declared exercise science major to join that particular LLC. It's not enough to be interested in it. You actually have to be within the folk school and you have to be that major. And then the last group, which is very cleverly named other affiliation, is the Honors LLC and the ROTC LLC. So for those with honors, you have to be a member of the honors program. And so incoming first year students can join that one. And then same with ROTC, you need to be a part of the ROTC program. The next slide talks about those LLCs that are open to anyone. So it doesn't matter your major, it doesn't matter your affiliation, there is no kind of restriction there. And so kind of the first grouping I have here are those LLCs that are around more of an interdisciplinary theme. And so like our first one there is our entrepreneurial LLC. So you could be any major. You could be a drama major in VPA and want to start your own acting studio. You could be, someone in the iSchool and want to start your own consulting business. So no matter what your major is, you might be interested in starting your own business someday. then that LC is for you, and that's an opportunity to explore that kind of broadly. So that's the interdisciplinary group. Over on the right-hand side, we have the multicultural and identity exploration group. And so a note about those LCs is it's about the celebration and appreciation and learning more about either that particular identity or that particular culture. So you don't have to identify as having that particular identity to be a part of that identity LLC. I can't believe I said identity 3 times in one sentence. The third group on the bottom right there is the kind of creativity and artistic group. And again, those are students who are interested and kind of broadly. So whether it's creative writing, whether it's music and culture or arts themed housing, those are for students who really identify with those different kind of creative endeavors. And then the last group on the bottom on the left-hand side is our wellness category. And we have a substance-free housing, which are for students who are interested in living in an alcohol and drug-free environment. So those are the communities we have that are open to anyone. So hopefully the next kind of question you're asking yourself is, all right, so I get what they are kind of, and I understand there's all these different ones I can choose from. Why would I bother? What's the impact? What do I get out of this? And so our program really focuses in 2 broad areas. So the first one is around that sense of belonging, building that community for your students, really helping our students find that family, finding those friends, making those connections, kind of making that transition away from home and here at Syracuse and really feeling like they belong here. So we focus on that broadly for all of our LLC students. And then the second area is that, like I talked about, that academic engagement and support piece. So those faculty connections, the peer mentors providing study groups, organizing students. We'll bring in calculus tutoring into the residence halls because, for example, sometimes we've got a lot of students taking calculus. And so we, instead of having them go to tutoring, we'll bring the tutoring to them. So it's about that academic support. And then the engagement piece is trying to take what you're learning in the classroom and getting you to experience it outside of the classroom in the real world. So we'll do field trips. You'll have, sometimes you'll go to lunch with your faculty member in the dining hall and talk about what you're interested in studying and kind of exploring the concepts from the classroom, but getting out of the classroom and experience them in real life. And the last note I would say about kind of the impact of our LLC program is that students who have been in our LLC program typically have a higher satisfaction with their experience overall at SU, and they have improved retention and graduation rates for those who are not in LLCs. So now that I've kind of talked to you a little bit about what the impact is, I think it's really important because, I'm an old guy. I've been doing this for a while. This is my job. I think they're amazing. But I think it's really important to hear from students who have actually been in them. So normally I would have a student with me. I couldn't have one here today. So I've got some quotes from some students who have talked about their experience. And so this first one, I'm not going to read it out loud, but this one really focuses on that belonging, that sense of community that they felt from their experience within the LLC. The next slide talks about more of that academic piece and that academic engagement. For anyone on the call, the faculty member in this photo is Zeke, who's in the design school. He's one of our amazing LLC faculty members. If you're coming here for design, you're very lucky to get to work with and connect with Zeke. Typically every year he has the students over to his house and they do like cookie decorating and fun things. So you really get to know him on a deeper level than you would just normally in classroom. And then the last quote I have up here on the next slide is just more broadly around community and how the student really felt that connection and how both the class piece, out of class piece really made a difference for them. So these are a few of the quotes from students who gave me permission to share what they thought about LLCs. The next slide talks about how on our website, we have a section which is called like living an LLC experience. If you go to our website, you check it out. We've got more photos up there. We've got video testimonials from students. We're always asking our current LLC students, would you like to record a video on your cell phone? And we'll post it on our website, you talking about your experience. Because again, I really want you to hear from the actual students who are doing and experiencing an LLC to understand what it is. So I invite you to check out our website for more information there. So usually at this point, most people are like, okay, I kind of get this. I don't know what I'm actually doing. Like give me an example of like really real world, like what would I be doing in this LC? So my next couple of slides are really talking about that. So this first slide is really around focusing on that community building, the floor bonding that happens because these students are living together on either a whole floor or part of a floor in a residence hall. So you're really making those friendships and making those connections. So we have different events that we do at the beginning of the year. We have every LLC does a welcome event that they're kind of initially connecting to the students. They do floor dinners together. Each LC picks a floor bonding event that they want to do. So some, for example, might go on a high ropes course. So the picture on the right-hand side is of the Entrepreneurial LLC, and they went on a high ropes course. And so they're team building, getting to know each other while they're kind of forming those bonds. The other thing I'll say is, and I'll let you in on a little secret, nothing will change your life more than seeing your faculty member in a wetsuit. I know it's kind of funny, but it's true because something changes when you see them in a wetsuit and they fall out of the whitewater rafting, because some of our LCs go whitewater rafting. And so they fall out of the raft or whatever. And so in the classroom, it's a little bit easier to ask questions or to go to your faculty member and say, you know, I don't really understand this problem, or I'm struggling this way, because you've seen them in a wetsuit, so you kind of know they're a real human. So again, this community building piece is really about breaking down some of those barriers and making those connections. And then there's a lot of informal stuff that happens on the floor or within our LLCs. Students getting together to watch TV shows or movies or going to the football game together. And so there's things that we intentionally plan, and there's things that the students, because they have this bond, they all do together. The next slide kind of focuses a little bit more on that academic piece. So again, our community piece and our academic piece. And so in most of our LLCs, the students are taking one class together in common. And so that's really a support system, because students who are living together and taking a class together, they're likely to study together to support each other. You have people living around you that you're like, I don't understand this problem from class, or I'm struggling with this piece of our assignment, and the people around you are also working on it. So you get to support each other. But it's also around providing you support systems. And so we've got the peer mentors that I've talked about. We provide an academic stress break at the end of the fall semester to get you kind of ready for finals and kind of de-stress a little bit before you go into that experience. And then again, our peer mentors are organizing study groups and things on the floor to support your success. So again, it's that success piece, but it's also, like I said, that academic engagement, taking those experiences and learning about them outside of the classroom, which I believe is what my third slide is about. Is around, nope, sorry, I jumped ahead. Faculty, I cannot forget my faculty. So again, a big part of that academic piece is also connecting with your faculty members. I said you're building that network of people that are going to be instrumental in your success. And so whether that's letters of recommendation, again, internships, research, guiding you on what you want to do with your career, right? So you're coming to college and you're thinking where you're going to be in 4 years. We're helping you build some of that momentum right away in your first year. And so our faculty it's common for them to have office hours in the residence hall. So you don't have to always go to their office. They're there in the lounge or downstairs on the ground floor. They might have meals in the residence hall to connect with you informally. They go to events. We have an event at the beginning of the year, our LLC picnic, where all 800 to 1,000 first year students come, get their t-shirt, and get to know each other. And the faculty are there meeting and mingling and talking with you like your first week on campus. Okay, now the next slide is talking about that experiential engagement piece that I had started to talk about. So again, this is taking those concepts from the classroom and really getting to understand and explore them in the real world. So this first picture here is, can't really tell, but he's got his orange bucket hat on, but that's the dean on the left-hand side. That's the dean of the School of Architecture, taking a tour of some of the freshmen in the Architecture LLC around downtown Syracuse and exploring some of the really cool history and architectural pieces we have in the city. That's not a common experience for an incoming freshman, to get to hang out with the dean of your school or college as he walks you around and then going having dinosaur barbecue for lunch afterwards, right? But those are some of those engagement pieces that we're trying to provide. The picture on the far right side was our Sport Analytics LLC, where we took them to the Buffalo Bills Stadium in Buffalo, New York, and they met with some alumni of the Sport Analytic program and got to really explore, okay, I'm getting this degree, I'm studying this, but I don't know what this job really would look like. And so they got a tour of the stadium, they got a behind the scenes like look of it. They went to the Sport Analytic department and talked to the alumni, and they shared what their actual day-to-day work looks like there at the Buffalo Bills. So again, not something that you normally get to do as an incoming first year student, that we try to provide those experiences within our program. All right, so now that I've sold you on LCs and you're all like dying to sign up and you're like logging onto our website trying to figure it out, I'll save you the trouble. So here's how you sign up, and Tim kind of mentioned it already. The LLC application is embedded right in the online housing application. So once you get that email from the housing office, you get access to the housing application. We're one of the sections of your online housing application, and there's no essays to write. You just need to rank your top three choices if you have three choices. If you only have one choice, you can rank it as your first choice and leave the others blank, or you can rank it as your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice. And I will definitely get the hint that you really want that one particular LLC. The deadline, as Tim shared, is June 1st. If you have any questions, hopefully our email address is really easy to remember. It's LLC for Living Learning Community at syr.edu. So you can always email our office and we'll get back to you. And I did want to spend a minute talking a little bit about the roommate piece because sometimes that can get a little bit tricky. So as Tim talked about, roughly around 50% of the students who are incoming here pick their own roommate, and around 50% let SU match for them. And so your two choices with LLCs are those same two choices. You can let us match for you, and I work with Tim, and he uses that questionnaire and kind of finds a compatible match within the LLC. So you'd still be living with another LLC student, or you can go and find one yourself. And it's the same process that Tim talked about, where you create that kind of profile yourself. You go out and search. You can search for someone who's interested in the same LLC that you're interested. So you can find someone specifically on that. The important point is two things. One is it's really useful if you and your roommate can rank your LCs the same, because if one of you wants to live in the LC over here and the other one wants to live in the LC over here, I'm really good at my job, but physics, I cannot figure out a way to get you to live together and be in separate locations at the same time. So if you can rank the same 1, 2, 3, that would be really helpful. If there's ever an issue with your rankings and I'm not sure what to do, I always reach out to the student and I say, hey, you've applied for LC. Here's the issue. Here's what I'm struggling with. Talk to me. Let's figure out what you want to do. So I don't make decisions for the students around what they meant. I always email them and ask. So make sure you're checking your syr.edu email account because that's where I'll be communicating. The other piece I'll say is that there are times where you can bring in a non-living learning community roommate. It just depends and it varies year by year. The only LC that I know that I can always accept a non-LLC roommate is the Honors LLC because it's so large and we have the entire building basically to play with. But other LCs, they're smaller, they're 30 spaces, and if I have 50 people apply, all of those 30 spaces are going to go to the LLC students. But if there's some empty spaces, then I can work with Tim and allow some of our students to pull in a non-LLC roommate. But I won't really know that until we get farther into the process. So if you're looking at joining an LLC, but your roommate isn't an LLC and you're trying to figure that out, feel free to reach out to our office so we can kind of help you with that. So like Tim had a screenshot of the housing application, this is the screenshot of the specific section that's just about LLCs. And as you can see there's the add button, which is circled in yellow. So to rank your top three choices, you would just click the add button, and then you'd see number one, order number one, preference. It's a drop-down menu, so you'd select the name of the LC that you'd want as your choice. So it's important that you go to our website and you read about all the different options so you know which one to pick. And then you click OK. If you have a second choice, you go back to that add button, click it, a number 2 pops up, you add your second choice. Again, if you only have one choice or if you only have two choices, that's fine, but you can rank up to 3. Once you're done, you just hit the continue button and you move on to the rest of the application. And that's it. That's all you have to do to apply for an LLC. So before I wrap up, I want to kind of answer some of those frequently asked questions that we get when we talk about LLCs. So the first is, our LLC program is free for students. So it's free for you to apply. It's free for you to join and participate. We don't feel like cost should be an issue. So it's really just this added extra benefit that the university provides for those students who are really interested and want to sign up for it. Also, unlike other institutions, our LLC program is only a 1-year commitment. So when you sign up for it as a incoming first year student, you're only in it for your first year. Once you go into your second year, you can decide to not be in an LLC anymore. You're not automatically kept in that particular LLC. In fact, most of ours are only a 1-year experience. So you couldn't return as a first year because we're busy bringing in the next cohort of first year students for those LLCs. We do have a small number right now of sophomore-based LLCs that you could decide to join as a second year student. And again, those are listed on our website, but it's only a 1-year commitment. The other thing we kind of get questions about is if I join this LLC, am I going to be isolated in this little house under a tree on the edge of campus? And so, no, that list of first year residence halls that Tim shared, the 10 LLC or the 10 buildings, all of our LLCs are in those same 10 buildings. So, in Day Hall with 560 students in there, one of the floors, half of the floor is the Sport Management LLC or is the Sport Analytics LLC. The rest of the floor might be random mixed students. The floor above you might be random students. So you're in a big building of lots of freshmen, but you have the added benefit of being clustered together in this LLC around something you have in common. So you get both the benefits of both worlds, both that experience and that clustering and that community, but you also have access to all the other freshmen that are in that building. So you're definitely not isolated if you join an LLC. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight is that when you move in, there'll be people there welcoming you and greeting you. Your faculty might be part of that move-in process, pushing the bins. But then we also have some programming during that first week of orientation and welcome when you get here on campus. So we do have some intentional programming then. All right, so if you haven't figured out, we love a good QR code over here at Syracuse University. And so this is ours. We have over 20 different LLC options and 2 theme housing options. So you can scan that QR code and be taken to our website where we list out all those different options. I will say it's important to read the descriptions because the first 5 bullets talk about what you can expect in that LLC, what the things you might be doing within that LLC. The 5th bullet talks about what building it's located in, what floor it's on. It will give you a sense of, is it a whole floor, is it a partial floor? And then there's also the information around what classes you might be taking. It talks about what's your eligibility. So it'll say this LC is only restricted to this major. So reading those descriptions will really help you figure out which LLCs you can join. And I think that's all me.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that information. We do have a couple of questions in the Q&A box, and I must say thank you to my colleagues, April, Amanda, and Tracy, because they're doing a fantastic job answering many of the questions that have been posted so far. However, one of the first questions is, can you download your ID card into Apple Wallet?
That's a great question. As of right now, no. I know we are working on potentially that in the future, but as of right now, no. Once you download the Get app on your phone, you somewhat have kind of a little bit of a mobile ID card at that point. It doesn't get you in and out of the building quite yet, unfortunately, but if you download that Get app, it would get you access to view your balance for any dining dollars that you have, any Q's cash that you have in your phone as well too. And then it has a photo of the same photo that would be on your ID card is on that platform as well. So unfortunately, not yet for the mobile ID. We are working on that, and hopefully we'll see that in the near future. But we do have the Get app that gets you access to your ID card right on your mobile device for the time being.
Thank you. Next question. What percentage of students who live on campus live in LLCs?
Yeah, so on any given year, we get around 800 to 1,000, sometimes 1,100 first year students. So roughly that's a fourth to a third of the incoming class who join join any of our LLCs.
Next question. When can we ship items once the dorm room is assigned? And how do you secure items for students as they arrive?
Yeah, great question. So when we send out those housing notifications in that mid-July timeframe, we send the building as well as the room number on there. So at that point, you'll have a mailing address that you can start to plan any packages that you're shipping. Now, residential living oversees the main desks in the residence halls, and the main desks are available for a variety of different services. But mail and packages is one of those services that the main desks oversee at the residence hall. So typically residential living will start accepting packages that Friday before first year move-in. So I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it's usually around like August 14th is typically when they start accepting packages. What I will say is that if you have anything large or if you're shipping quite a bit of packages, try to communicate with their office beforehand just because the main desk areas are there's not a whole lot of space behind those main desks. So if you have any large items that you're planning to ship, I would try to get in touch with someone before that, to figure out what timing makes the most sense and if the size of the package can actually fit behind the desk. But for general mail-in packages, they get stored behind that desk area. It's locked, it's secured, and it's staffed throughout the course of the day. And then students will receive an email once a package has arrived for them that's available for them to pick up. But August 14th is typically when they start accepting packages.
All right, and just as a follow-up to that question, I'm one of the many volunteers who will help out during move-in day, and I know that sometimes so many packages come in all at once right around move-in day. So I usually see those trucks pulling up from UPS and FedEx. Will that be happening this year? Do you anticipate that happening as well?
Yeah, we can't slow down we can't slow down the moving process for students. I will say too, like if you're shipping packages, that's like obviously we'll accept that, and as best as we can we'll manage it between our individual desks. We do have quite a bit of stores within the area as well too. So like we have Target, we have IKEA, which just opened up at Destiny USA as well too. So if you're looking to purchase a couple of additional things, we have some resources available in the Syracuse area. But if you're looking to ship anything beforehand, certainly reach out to Residential Living prior to arriving to campus, and they'll work with you to make sure that they have the space to accept your package prior to moving in.
Next question, can students have a mini refrigerator? Do they rent one or can they bring one?
Yeah, great question. So our office actually partners with a company called My Micro Fridge. And My Micro Fridge is a micro fridge rental that students can participate in. So if you go to our website under the resources section, that will link you to the My Micro Fridge rental. So you certainly can bring your own mini fridge. You're also welcome to bring your own microwave if you choose to do so. I will say check our website because we have some size regulations as well as some regulations for microwaves as well. But if you don't want to worry about lugging a mini fridge back and forth between campus and home, or even a microwave for that matter, that rental program is great. They will literally drop it off to your room before you get there, and then at the end of the semester will come and pick it up. They partner with our office to make sure that they have access to the room to do that. So if you're looking for one less thing to worry about, and you don't want to lug that mini fridge back and forth, that micro fridge program is a great thing to participate in. And information about rates and how to reserve a rental is all available on our website.
Mhm. Thank you. Next question. Once an LLC building is assigned, will the student ID work only for that building or can they go swiping around campus?
Oh, so Tim, you might be a part of this this answer too. So my understanding, right, is that your ID card obviously lets you into the building that you're assigned to. There's security stations at each one, and so you can, if you can't swipe in, you can get checked in by someone who lives in the building, who then you can you can go visit. Tim, did I get that right?
You got it right. Yep. So if you have anybody visiting from different parts of campus that you're looking to bring up to your lounge or to your room for a little bit, like you have to meet them down at the front desk in order to do that if they're part of a different building, because you only have access to the building that you reside in. So if I'm living in Boland and I want to go visit my friend up at Day, my friend at Day needs to meet me down at the first floor in order to make sure that they're authorized to go into the building. So there is that 24-hour security within the residence halls as well.
Good answer. Thank you. How likely are you to get your first choice of LLC?
Great question. So I work really hard to make sure as many as possible can get their first choice. So it's really based on how many people, the number who apply and the number of spaces I have. So typically I am in the around the 92 to 96 percentage rate of students who get their first choice. And then for those who don't, it's usually a couple reasons. One, either the LC they want is full, and then they would go to their second choice. Or a lot of times what happens, surprisingly, is students apply for LCs that they're not eligible for. So as I talked about some of those restricted ones, so like an English major applies for sport management LLC. You've got to be a sport management major to be in that, so you're denied as an English major. So that is where usually most of our students don't get the LLC they want, is because they've applied for one that they're not eligible for. So make sure you read those descriptions.
Okay, how I'm sorry, when do sororities and fraternities get introduced?
So I can take that, Tim, if you want to jump in.
Sure.
So here at SU, students can start the process of joining the fraternity or sorority in the second semester of their freshman year.
Mhm. And next question. If the Syracuse system is used to find a roommate, is the student obligated to live with that student that they are matched with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So once you get the housing assignment, and that includes the roommate as part of the housing assignment, those housing assignments are typically finalized once we send them out to each of our first year students. Now, obviously, like if you have any concerns with your roommate or whatever the case may be, you're certainly welcome to reach out to our office and we can help kind of troubleshoot some of those concerns. But that's ultimately what our residential living colleagues are there for as well, right? Like we want to encourage students to engage with their roommate as well as members of the community. And then if there's concerns, they have plenty of resources that are available to them. They have their resident advisor that's part of their community and is helping oversee the community. Each residence hall has either one or two different full-time staff members within the residence hall, residence directors that oversee the resident advisors. So they're a great resource if anything's going on within the community as well too, whether it's roommate related or just frustrations happening in the building itself. Both the resident advisors as well as the residence directors are excellent resources to help mitigate some of those concerns that come up. But typically when we do send out housing assignments around that mid-July timeframe, both the placement and the roommate assignment that we make is finalized. Now we use that questionnaire pretty close to those responses to help find that compatible fit. So we encourage students to interact with their roommate and have conversations before getting to campus so that they can start to build that relationship before they actually move into the space as well.
Thank you. Next question. When looking at suggested roommates on the website, there is an area to join a group or create a group. Can you explain what these groups are?
Absolutely, yeah. So the group is really how you start to form your roommate match. So if you're someone like, for example, if you're going in there and you're looking for someone to find a roommate, there should be another link on there that has suggested roommates. And again, we have screenshot guides on our website that can kind of walk you through step by step of how to make that roommate match. But if you're looking for other people within the housing network that have applied for housing that are still looking for a roommate, I would start with that suggested roommate piece. That create a group and that join a group button are more of options when you've found someone and you're ready to make that match. So if you're someone that wants to initiate that process, you can create the group. And then you would share that group information with the person that you're looking to match with, and they will you essentially send them a request and they accept your request to join that group. If you're kind of on the flip side and you know of someone that created a group and you want to join their group, you click that join group and you type in their group information, and that should be able to send a request. If you're stuck on any of the parts for roommate matching, certainly send us an email, give us a call. Sometimes it's even helpful if you send us an email with a screenshot of where you're stuck at, so we can assign it to one of our staff members and kind of troubleshoot where you're getting stuck at, to make sure that we're giving you the best advice. But those are typically the difference between the create a group and the join a group feature in the roommate matching portal.
What sizes are the beds for bedding purposes?
Great question. Yes, they're twin XL. So if you're planning your shopping list, I would look for twin XL sheets.
Okay. What does the laundry situation look like?
Great question. So we have laundry facilities in each of the residential areas throughout campus. Now, some of them have laundry that's available right on the student's floor. Some of it's on the first floor. Some buildings have laundry facilities that are in the basement of the building that's kind of shared among the building as well. But there is laundry available in each of the residence halls provided. Now, we do have an additional service on campus as well too. It's a partnership that our office has with a company called Lazy Bones. Lazy Bones will actually come to campus, pick up your dirty clothes, bring them off campus and clean them for you, and then bring them to campus all nice and folded So you don't have to worry about any of the laundry if that's something that you want to participate in. Now, and obviously there's a charge to it, but if you're looking for a free laundry option, there is laundry available for you. You don't have to worry about bringing quarters or anything like that. You don't even have to swipe your card. It's all included as part of living on campus with us.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything that we're not allowed to have in the dorm room? Like, can you have an air fryer, an Instapot, or a rice cooker?
Yeah, great question. So I know on our website and on the residential living website, there's a whole laundry list of different things that are permitted and prohibited in the residence halls. I know new student programs, as they're preparing for students to come to campus, will also produce a suggested packing list as well. So I would certainly, take a look at our website if you're looking for specific things about what can be brought and what is not permitted in the residence halls. And then, be on the lookout for your emails, because that suggested packing list typically gets communicated out prior to coming to campus as well. But there's a laundry list of things that are accepted and not accepted. So, but certainly take a look at our website. And if you have any questions about a specific item, you're more than welcome to reach out to us as well.
Next question. What percentage of students get their first choice of dorm in general if they don't apply for an LLC?
Yeah, great question. So kind of along the lines of what Dan had said, a lot of the issues that we see for any room preferences is, let's say I put down a split double as my top preference, but Dan put down an open double as his top preference. Well, one of us is going to get our top preference for our housing assignment. So that's typically where we see, if someone wasn't able to get their top preference met. Sometimes we'll also see it like if there's an abundance of people that put down single rooms. Like I said, we have a pretty limited number of single rooms that we can offer for our first year students. So that's occasionally where we wouldn't see it. But the vast majority of our students that apply before that June 1st deadline do get their top choice in room preference. So I would certainly encourage you to submit that housing application by that June 1st deadline to make sure that your preference, especially your top preference, is met as best as we possibly can.
There's several questions. They just keep rolling in. One question is, what happens if a student does not like their roommate? Is it possible to change within a couple of weeks?
Yeah, typically, so for once we send out those housing assignments, we usually will put a room freeze on any changes up until usually about like the second week of classes is when we start to facilitate room changes. So we always encourage, obviously, students to talk with their roommate, have a conversation with them. Try not to obviously go off of first impression of like social media or anything like that. We always encourage students to actually have a conversation with their roommates before making any judgments. Again, if you have any concerns, that's what we're here for. So certainly reach out to us, and we're happy to address any individual concerns as they come up. But typically any change processes open up usually after the second or third week of classes.
What does the shower and or bathroom situations look like? Are they private or communal?
Yeah, it kind of depends depending on which building that you're assigned to. So I will say on our website, under the residence hall section, we have a breakdown of which bathroom is tied to which individual buildings. There's two common bathroom types. We have kind of more of a communal setup, which is your typical line of stalls and line of showers that has the door that you can close behind the stall and the curtain for the shower as well. We also have what's called pod style bathrooms. So they're shared among the floor, and then it's more of a private space that you can close the door, and you have the sink, the toilet, and the shower all behind one individual stall. So depending on the building that you're in, that would kind of determine which bathroom setup that you would have in that residence hall.
Okay. All right. Well, the questions are still rolling in. My daughter is doing a dual degree program. She does not know her subject requirements. Certain LLCs requires most courses be taken. So I guess this was probably a typo. How is that dealt with if the student doesn't know yet what classes they have to be taken?
Yeah, so because the LLC program is so connected academically as one of its main components, we work with all the schools and colleges, all the degree programs, and their advisors. So the good news is that your student doesn't necessarily have to know all the ins and outs. If under the LLC description if it talks about that they're eligible, like they're the right major, we've already worked with the school and college, and we know we can make it work for the student. And so we'll work with the student and with the school or college advisor to make sure they get enrolled in the right courses. Or if you're bringing in like AP credit for writing, let's say, then you'll be exempt from having to take the writing class that XLC might need to take because you already have credit for it. But so we will help with that academic registration piece, working with the academic advisors.
Is there a common kitchen area in the residence halls?
Great question. No, there are not kitchens in the residence halls. We do have microwaves that are throughout the building. I will say too, a lot of like most of our first year students are first year areas are connected to dining centers. So like Sadler Hall, for example, has Sadler Dining Center right in the building as well. Day and Flint share Graham Dining Center, which is kind of in between the two buildings. So it's a pretty quick hop, skip, and a jump away from the dining centers, and the dining centers are open for a vast majority of the day as well too. So, but there are no kitchens in the residence halls, but there is plenty of access to any of our 6 dining centers throughout the campus.
Thank you. How does a student with their own health insurance under a guardian check to see if SU takes or accepts that insurance?
I'm not sure Tim or I are experts on the health insurance. So I would guess going through the Barnes Center, which is kind of our health and wellness center, they would probably have information on their website around health insurance and how to navigate that.
Thank you. Are some split doubles bigger than others, or is it the same thing with an open double?
Yeah, so the dimensions of the rooms are pretty consistent across the board. There may be some variations depending on the building. What I will say is that I feel like I keep saying, go to our website, but there are some walkthrough videos of each of the residence halls on our website as well. There also, if you're following us on Instagram, we also have a TikTok account. If you're following us on TikTok as well, you will see some of those videos being posted as well throughout the summer. But if you're looking for some of our YouTube links for those specific room tours, those are available on our website as well. So so you can kind of take a look, see some example rooms throughout each of the 10 residence halls if you're interested.
What's the general consensus on getting rooming insurance? Ever since all the water damages in different halls, it's something my family's considering. I'm assuming they probably had this happen somewhere else.
Yeah, I will always encourage, extra safety and protection, especially if you're in a building with, hundreds of other students, like it's certainly there. In the application, you'll see that we have a partnership with an insurance company called GradGuard. That is a partnership that we offer for renters insurance. So would certainly, encourage you to take a look at that if you're interested. Some students will kind of look at renters insurance maybe through the parents' homeowners insurance as well too. That same company. There's a variety of different renters insurance options that are out there. But I will always encourage it to every student out there to participate in renters insurance. It's a small a small amount typically for a year premium that can go a long way if something happens in the residence hall. So we'll certainly encourage it one way, shape, or form.
How is trash dealt with? Is there a trash chute or it gets picked up? And what about the bathroom and or shower cleaning?
Yeah, great questions. I'll start with the trash pickup, and then I'll talk about kind of the cleaning schedule as well. So trash is typically there is a designated area on each of the floors for trash. So students are certainly encouraged to dump their trash in those specific trash areas. And then our facility services, and this kind of goes into the cleaning part as well. Each of the buildings has assigned custodial staff members in the building that helps clean the floors, cleans the bathrooms multiple times a day, and helps empty the trash in those trash rooms. A lot of the students get to know their custodial staff members throughout the course of the year, which is important. I mean, they're part of the community as well. So so they are there to maintain regular maintenance and regular cleanliness of the residence halls throughout the time that you're living there. Facility services is available 24/7 as well. So if there's ever an issue within your room or in the building, you can certainly report it to them, and they are really responsive in getting someone to come take a look at what's going on in the building as well.
Okay. Is a triple room an option within the LLC programs?
So Tim could correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves, almost the vast majority of our first year students are in open doubles or split doubles, and then we also have single rooms. I think he did talk about where there might be some triples or some quads available, but they're not that common. And so when we did our LLC placements, I do not believe any of them are in the spaces that have triples or quads, if memory serves.
You're correct.
Next question. What if you already have a roommate? Is it still recommended to apply to LLC programs?
So yeah, I mean, like I said, they're one, your roommate might be interested in the LC you're interested in, so they can, like Tim had talked about being able to go back into your housing application and change things. So let's say you apply for an LC and then later down the road you find a roommate and you want to match with your roommate in terms of the LC choices, you can go back into the housing application and re-rank your choices so that both of you match, right? So that's one option. The other thing that I kind of already talked about a little bit is that if there's space within our LLC, we'll let you bring in a non-LLC roommate. We can't guarantee that. It just really depends on space. So you should apply for the LLC you're interested in, pick the roommate you want, and if it's going to be an issue, again, I will reach out to the student and say, "Hey, Billy, you said you wanted to be in, the exercise science LC, and your roommate that you chose doesn't want to be in it, and I don't have room for your roommate. So what would you like to do?" And so I always put the decision back into the student's hands to decide how they want to manage that.
All right, next question. Are there all boys and all girls floors, or are they mixed?
Great question. So they are mixed throughout the building. We do, as part of the application, we have a breakdown of gender and how we factor that into our housing placements as well. So for the students, I would certainly encourage them to take a look at that piece of the application if they have questions about that. But the floors in general are mixed for the most part. We have some areas on campus that, one wing of the hall may be male students and the other wing maybe female students, but for the vast majority of our residential areas, they are mixed gender floors.
Is there a shared vacuum students can use?
Yes, it's at my house. And if you'd like to come and vacuum my house first, I would greatly appreciate that. Actually, the front desk, the main desks of the residence halls have equipment and things that students can check out. And I believe at the front desk, there's always a vacuum that students can check out and use.
Okay. Do the residence halls have IT services such as printers?
Yes, they do. So each of the residence halls has a kind of a main lounge area that typically has the printing services. All of the printers throughout campus are wireless printing as well too. So you don't have to hook up a cord to print off something on that specific printer. You just wirelessly print it to it. Actually, some of the residence halls also have designated computer areas as well. So if you don't have your laptop, but you're still looking to print something off, you can hop on one of the university computers that's in that computer room and take care of your printing at that point as well. So, but yeah, they're included in each of our residential areas.
Okay. Can all beds be raised ahead of arrival, or do you need to buy risers?
So typically when the students are moving in, the beds are put at the highest level. And we've heard that because obviously students want to maximize storage as part of moving in. Now, if you're looking to have the bed lowered, you could always, make that request to facility services. They're typically running around during move-in weekend with a hammer to help raise and lower beds anyway. So usually all you have to do is grab one of the facilities members and they can help you out with that. But they're typically set at the highest level so that students can have that maximum space underneath to store whatever they want to under their bed space.
Okay. Do the dorms have generators in case the power goes out?
Yes, they do, and they have, again, facility services is there 24/7 as well. So if there's ever any power outages or anything like that, we know the weather here in Syracuse is pretty unpredictable. So sometimes things happen, but facility services is there to quickly respond if there's ever an incident in the building, whether it's a power outage or whatever the case may be. They're in a quick time to get the issue resolved.
Have the custodial staff been employed for many years, and do they go through background checks?
Yes, they do. So they've been obviously the facilities team has been here as it's pretty much as long as the university has been here as well. So but yes, they're part of the Syracuse University, employment staff as well too. So yeah, they are reliable and are certainly trusted with our students as well.
Next question, are air purifiers or other air machines permitted in dorms?
Yeah, air purifiers are permitted. We obviously are mindful of the smoke system within the residence halls as well too. So I wouldn't raise it up and put it directly under a smoke detector or anything like that. But yeah, they are permitted in the residence halls. And again, if you have any questions about what's permitted and what's prohibited in the residence halls, there is a laundry list of different things that are listed on the website. So would certainly encourage you to take a look at that and double check before bringing anything to campus as well.
Okay, I'm scrolling through here because, like I said, the questions are still coming in. Is there a vinyl covering on mattresses for cleanliness?
Yes, and I do know facility services does replace mattresses pretty regularly throughout the summer as well too. So yeah, they're making sure that everything is safe and sanitary for students as they're moving into the rooms for the first time as well too. So yes, they are protected as well.
Okay, do you have high-speed internet? And if so, is it free or limited?
We do have high-speed internet on campus, and we have a partnership with the JMA Wireless Network on campus that helps power our wireless internet as well. JMA is the same company that sponsors our dome on campus as well. But yeah, it's high speed wireless internet throughout campus. So there's usually never any issues with connectivity wherever you go on the Syracuse campus.
Another question here. I see something called large split doubles, which appears to be different than split doubles. Are those an option for freshmen? And is there a cost difference?
Yeah, great question. So kind of depending on which building that you're in, have some of those large split double options. They are pretty much the same rate as a traditional split double. There's not a huge size difference. I mean, they're bigger obviously, but there is no additional cost for the large split doubles versus the split doubles. But it kind of depends on which building that you're looking at. Some of them do have large split doubles as the room type, and then some just have traditional split doubles as well.
And I see that there are a couple of questions in here about AC. One of which says, do any of the dorms have AC? The
They
first year
do,
dorms.
yeah, the first year residence halls don't have air conditioning. Some of our returning student areas do have air conditioning, and then obviously our new builds that are coming online don't are going to have air conditioning as well too. But Syracuse is typically pretty cold throughout the academic year, so we certainly have heat, but we don't have air conditioning in our residence halls.
All right, the next two questions are about the beds. One, what is the height of the bed when raised? And could you please provide the underbed space measure? Is that something
Yeah,
that's available on the website?
it is on our website. Yeah, we have a whole section on our website that has about furnishings and layouts and everything like that. I don't have the exact, measurements off the top of my head memorized, but I will say that the typical furniture package that we have available for our first year students is listed on our website with the dimensions of what the bed space would look like if it's raised to the top.
Another question here. I might have missed it, but what are good alternatives to stick things on walls as not to damage anything in the rooms?
That is a great question. Yeah, I typically will see a lot of students if they're hanging up posters and stuff like that. A lot of them will use painter's tape to hang them up. So I mean, I certainly would encourage that. Like if you're worried about ripping paint off the spacer or anything like that, I have seen in the past, like students have tried to use command strips and then end up ripping off some paint and then, would end up getting billed for that damage, which obviously we don't want to have happen. But yeah, I mean, painter's tape has worked well for students. I would definitely, obviously, do some research and check out our website to see what's prohibited and not in terms of that. But yeah, I think you see a lot of students get creative in how they hang up things. We just try to, be mindful of, usually the stronger the adhesive, the more likely that it is that it would rip off paint. So we certainly would recommend that.
Mhm. It looks like there's 3 questions left, and one of which has already been answered about the triple room. What is the most requested hall?
None of them, because you can't request a specific building. We only we only take room preferences on our application. So obviously those room preferences are typically available in any of our residence halls on campus. But our application, you can't request a specific building on the application. So if you're looking for the room types, you can rank up to your top four preferences on the specific room type, and then we work to place you in a building that meets that room type preference.
Mhm. And the last question is on the website, where do you find a roommate group section?
Yeah, great question. So on the website, if you're looking to find information about how to match up with a roommate, it's under our first year students section. And then if you go down to the part where it says search for a roommate, you should see a link in a little drop down that has a screenshot guide of how to create that roommate group. So if you're looking for information on how to create a roommate group, it's available on our website. If you're looking to actually match up with a specific roommate, that's actually going to be in your housing application, which is through your MySlice and through the housing portal that's available in your MySlice account. So instructions are on our website, and then to actually do the roommate matching is going to be available in your housing application.
Okay, looks like 2 more questions came in. If you choose a double room with a bath or a suite with its own bathroom, are those also included as an area the facilities team cleans?
Yeah, typically any of our spaces, and we don't have a whole lot of them in first year areas as it is, but typically if you have a private space, that's part of your living area that you would then be responsible for cleaning at that time.
Mhm. Well, at this point, we have no open questions, so thank you all for joining us this evening to learn more about Syracuse University and about our campus housing programs. We hope this information helps you to see what life will be like for you as a student next fall, and invite you to join us for another virtual session or an in-person visit soon. If you have any questions about the information shared tonight or anything else related to SU, please contact their teams directly at housing@syr.edu or the Office of Admissions at orange@syr.edu or call the admissions office at 315-443-3611. We wish you all a great rest of your day, and go Orange. All right, so we're done. Wonderful. Okay.
Have a
Thank
good
you all.
night.
All right, take care.